All right, so thank you so much for staying with us. You're sure into Morning Spring and is reaching you from Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. And well, we have our guest to joining us here. You know, number of issues at the twilight of the outgone administration, Gboyega Oyetola, he did employ a number of officials, civil servants, and there were issues as to the propriety or otherwise of those employments. So the new governor, Ademola Adeleke, came in November, late November, and he issued a number of executive orders. I think Executive Order 3 was the one that asked that salaries could be maintained or reversal of the appointments made after the July 16th election. Well, one of those who was employed will be joining us shortly. He's with us in the studios now. Pharmacist Adebayo Adebari is a representative of health workers employed by the outgone government of Gboyega Oyetola, who are now in a limbo because they do not know what their status is. Are they sacked? Are they retained? Have they been paid their salaries? All of that we get to know. Thanks so much for joining us on Morning Spring this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. So, you know, when were you employed?
We were regularized. We will say we are regularized because in the health sector, especially in the Osun State Primary Healthcare Development Board, we were regularized in form of we were engaged to replace the retired health officers in the agency. So, and that regularization occurred around September last year, 2022.
So, help me understand. I asked the question I asked was, when were you employed? But you're talking about regularization. Have you been in the service before now?
Exactly.
When?
That's the point, and that's the actual side we're going. Yes, our process of regularization started from a very long time in terms of, it started from the perspective of being voluntary. When you say we are voluntary workers, that means you have the right, as an health worker, you have the right to approach any of the health centers in Osun State, and you just start your work, you plead with them that being a volunteer, you want to volunteer yourself as for a voluntary service, you will not be paid. So we have a lot of us that has been engaging in such activities as far back as 8 to 10 years ago. Then after that, after some period of time, the government then brought in the aspect of incorporating some of us that are already in the voluntary service into what we call ad hoc. Then from the ad hoc, what happened in the ad hoc sector of the regularization is that some of us have been paid a stipend of like 20,000 for community health workers, then about 30,000 monthly for the nurses. And this payment are not even being paid monthly, but they are being paid like every 3 months. So now the regularization started from the ad hoc. It from voluntary, it later metamorphosed to ad hoc. Then from there, it later changed to regularization, that is the incorporation into the civil service. So the process of the voluntary started as far back as 8-10 years ago. Then the issue of the ad hoc started, I think, around like 3 to 4 years ago. Then the incorporation into the civil service started just last year. So
it is voluntary, that you said, voluntary work that started 8-10 years ago. That should be 2013 now?
Yes, 2013.
Yes. 2015.
Yes.
Was it with the knowledge of the state government?
Yes, it's with the knowledge of the state government, because whatever the agency will be doing is going to be in line with the approval of the government. Now, for example, if I should take myself as an example, I am a pharmacist. We have a lot of other cadres as well. As a pharmacist, I started my own voluntary around 2020. That's when I started my own voluntary. And it is very crucial to let everyone know that the reason why the voluntary service and the lights come into being is that the PHC, especially in Osun State, we are grossly short-staffed. I did my service at a primary healthcare center in Osun State as well, so which made me to see a lot of all these things that are, that's actually occurring in the health sector, especially in the Osun State Primary Healthcare Development Board. So after that, the ad hoc, not all of us are even incorporated into ad hoc, because the health sector in the agency is being regulated more by the national level. They receive a lot of funds from international bodies. So there has been a fund that has been budgeted. We call it the BHCF fund, that has been budgeted to the payment of some ad hocs. So not all of us are incorporated into it. Most of the ones incorporated are the CHIOs and the nurses. But we doctors, some doctors, we pharmacists, we are just there as voluntary workers.
So at the point of regularization, is that when you become civil servants? That's when you get into the payroll of the government?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so now you're saying that some persons were regularized in September 2022.
Exactly.
Have those persons been put on the state government's payment system?
Exactly. We were regularized in September 2nd to be precise. That was the date on our respective appointment letter. By October, we were incorporated into the payroll of the state government. We were captured by the then agency in that respect. So we were incorporated by October.
Okay. So between October and November, did you get any payment?
No.
Now, what exactly now is the bone of contention? And we'll come back to the issue of not knowing your status, but with the whole executive order thing. But what other issues are your bones of contention with the government? Exactly.
The major aspect of our concern is we, number one, are continuing our service with the state government. And number two, the payment of our withheld salaries. It's no more a new thing in the civil service that when you get regularized or when you get engaged by the state government or the government, you will not be paid the first, second, and the fourth, second, but you will now be paid on the third month. So we were actually looking forward to be paid our 3-month cumulative salary by November ending. And we're made to understand then, before the former governor left, that our payment has already been incorporated into the November salary, which our new governor, via his executive order, tends to review our payment and our appointment.
Okay. So did you get any official communication? After November 27th, did you get any official communication from the government saying this is the executive order, stop working, or if you work, you're on your own? Did you get any such communication?
Number one, till today, we've never gotten any communication from the government. We still go to work, even till this morning. We still go to work. The executive secretary of the board that engaged us has not yet communicated anything to us in that regard. We've always been trying our best to get the attention of the concerned government officials, but till today, we've not yet gotten any positive or even any response from them. So except the ones we hear on radio, on televisions, not direct communication.
So how has that affected your services? Are there some of you who have voluntarily now, let me use that word, withdrawn, since they don't know what their fate is?
Nothing. The morale is still high. The morale is still high among our workers because we've already labored for this. You can imagine somebody that has been clamoring to get appointment for years, for 10 years, for 8 years. I know of someone that that's already part of this system right from the year 2005. Then I was still in secondary school. Somebody has been volunteering to be a voluntary worker from the year 2005. Now eventually got this job. So we've already put in a lot. And our appointment, our engagement cut across all centers, all the 31 local governments in Osun State. So right from the onset of our engagement, like I myself, I move from Oshogbo to Egwedore almost every day. I go to work every day. We have people that move from Oshogbo to Ayedade every day to Isokan. We travel far and near every day. So we've already spent a lot. So now it has not really affected us. We still continue because we are used to it.
Okay, so I want to ask for the ad hoc. You said from volunteering you progressed to ad hoc.
Exactly.
Before this regularization. Exactly. And at the ad hoc stage, you were paid 20,000 naira for choose, and then about 30,000 naira for nurses. How much are pharmacists and doctors pay?
No. We're not incorporated into the ad hoc. The fund released then was basically meant for
choose and nurses.
So for the other cadres, we just keep on, unless I will, let me say, downgrade myself and said I will be doing the work of the choose.
So what exactly do the choose do?
Yeah, the choose, they are the community health workers. They do a lot of works in the health centers. They attend to all this. They take part in immunization. They take part in a lot of health management as well in the health centers. So they do a lot. And they help the nurses as well on duty.
Okay, so for those who were on that stipend list, for the ad hoc level, Are they still collecting the money? You know, the 20,000,
not at all. Not at all. The moment they were incorporated into the civil service, they've stopped the payment. They've stopped outside. Even we still have a lot of people still waiting, looking forward to be incorporated into ADOC again. So the moment they were regularized, and that set of people, they've already taken their respective places in all their
Where does the
assignment.
fund to pay those ADOC staff come from?
It comes from, number one, the major fund comes from the national.
Which agency?
The National Primary Healthcare Development Board.
Okay, so these people are all, you know, what?
Exactly.
And so how many are you altogether? Those of you affected by this, you know, uncertain situation?
Yes, we're 515 across all cadres. We have
515?
Yes, 515. The cadres, we are 13. The cadres, yes.
Okay, can you walk us through the cadre?
Yes, health attendants, health assistants, including doctors.
And pharmacists.
Exactly.
And all of you have not been paid since September, October.
We've not been paid.
Have you made any representation to government? There is a committee set up, you know, to review these, you know, headed by Dr. Muyiwa Oladipo.
Exactly.
Have you met with them? Have you made representation?
Exactly.
To this before?
Yes, we are so lucky. Let me say, I'm so lucky to say this. We're the fourth categories of affected workers to approach the review committee. We have all documentations here. We approached the review committee on the 5th of December. That was just a week after our good governor was inaugurated. We have the documentation here, and which was duly received at the initial place set up for the activities of the review committee, and which was acknowledged, and we were told that they are going to call on us. But today, we've not yet gotten any invitation from them to even at least hear from us. That's number one. That's on the part of the review committee. After that, we've also been to the State Assembly. That same week, we approached the review committee, and we met with some assembly members, which they also listened to us, and they also promised to get in touch with us. But today, no response. We've also written personally to the governor himself. That same week, we did all these things. We approached the governor, we've written to them, which was also duly received by the admins in the government secretariat. And after that, we've also met with a lot of political and community leaders in the state, just to get the positive, the needed response from them. But now, the only response we hear is from the televisions and the radios.
So, I mean, okay, Emmanuel.
All right, so before it comes back, in your appointment letter, what were the terms of reference you were given? What were the terms, and, you know, what did the state government at the time tell you?
Number one, at the point where regularized, you know, number one, after they gave us the appointment letter, we did trainings, support trainings to prepare us for what we're expected to meet at the respective PHCs, because the work at the PHCs are very tasking. You can't compare the work there with the ones at the higher, let me say, secondary or tertiary health institutions, because we deal with local people, you know, where a lot of diseases and epidemics, you know, move about. So they try to prepare us enough for that. Then the only condition stated in our appointment letter is that the government can terminate our appointment only if we stop going to work and we stop discharging our rightful duties. So that's it.
And, and so far you've not?
We've not. We go to work. If you approach any of these health centers, you will see they are grossly short-staffed. Even after employing us, we pharmacists are less than 10. We're about 8 to 9.
Altogether?
Altogether.
For the entire state?
No, the newly ones. Altogether,
out of the 515.
Out of the 515, just 8 to 9 pharmacists are employed. The doctors are just 10 out of the 515. Now, with the figures of which pharmacists engaged, with the ones we met on ground, we've not even covered, let me say, half of the 31 health authorities in the 31 local government in Osun State. I was posted to Egwedore, the way I work. I'm the pharmacist. I'm the only pharmacist there.
In the whole local government?
In the whole local government. And
in the employment of the state? In
the employment of the state. I'm the only pharmacist. I didn't meet any pharmacist on duty. I only met my HOD, who is a pharmacy technician. And I, as a pharmacist, I'm to cover, aside the headquarters in Egwedora, I'm still to oversee the activities of about 10 vocal centers, that is sub-outlets of the health centers. So even till today, in my local government, in my place of assignment, we don't even have doctors. We don't have any doctor. Apart from, despite the fact that the then administration engaged the service of doctors and pharmacists and health workers.
Mr. Debare, I mean, so are doctors supposed to be posted to PHCs?
Exactly. All health centers, we have health authority in each of the local government of the state, of the federation. Each local government must have one health center domiciled in the headquarters. So in the headquarters now, you must have a doctor, minimum of a doctor, who is going to be the MOH. Aside the doctor, you must have all cadres duly represented. These are the people that are going to take part in discharging of health-related duty government. And aside the health authority, that is the headquarters, we now have vocal centers. Those are the PHCs present at each wards and units. Hardly will you see a ward that doesn't have an health center in this country. So each ward has an health center, which must also have capable hands on duty.
But have you heard the argument of government? So we've spoken to the chairman of the committee, and you know, we've also spoken to other officials of government. We've said a major consideration on why the governor said, aside the fact that he felt that it was a booby trap, you know, for him coming into government, is the issue of funds, saying, how do you employ people when you've not made provision for their payment?
Yes.
So have you heard that? So you're talking about adding 515 health workers. There's aside the teachers, there's aside other workers that were said to were also employed in other sectors like, you know, the state broadcast outfit and some others. How do you defend that? Have you reasoned with government on that basis?
Exactly. Thanks for the question. Number one, we are learned personalities, we are health officers, and we know the right things to do. You know, when we came in September, before the incorporation of our names into the government payroll, there were some discussions that we were aware of. The accounts department of the agency, they wanted to see the approval for our regularization, and we're privileged to see the approval given. The then former commissioner of finance, in person of Dr. Oyebamiji, presented an approval to the then governor, because when the opposition people in the opposition, they were bringing out point that there is no money. We confronted the agency. You are trying to employ us. Do you have fund for this? And they said yes, they have fund, because number one, we need evidence to show us you have funds to cater for us, and they proved the fund. They proved the point to us. And what was the point they proved? Now they made us to understand that we were only trying to replace the already retired health officers in the agency. What they did is very simple. They calculated the number of retired old staffs in the Osun State Primary Healthcare Development Board. They were about just 2 OCs. They calculated the salary payable to these retired health officers, which we all know the figure, which I may not want to quote. Now, it was on that basis the then governor gave an approval to the Osun State Primary Healthcare Development Board to seek or to incorporate another set of new ones from the initial voluntary and ad hoc staffs to take up the service, to fill up the vacuum that is already left behind by the retired medical officers. Putting into consideration the amount payable to the retired staff that is already in the agency. The money is there. The money that is being left behind by the retired officers that are to be paid to them, the figures are already calculated, and the money is there monthly. So now the then government has already giving us their proof, the reason why they are engaging us, and now the source of the fund will be used in paying us. And don't let us forget, the Osun State, the Primary Healthcare Development Board, the account is domiciled in the local government. It only has little contribution. It needs little contribution from the state government.
So you are sure that the state government has what it takes to pay your salary?
The local government.
Also, your salaries are not paid by the state government?
It's not even paid. It's just like the primary school teachers. The salaries of the primary school teachers are paid by the respective local government. The state government is just overseeing them and giving them approval to do the right thing. Our payments, the payment of our salaries, because we work in the local government, our files are taken through the local government. So our salary is domiciled in the local government account, not even the state. The state can only give them backup. Okay, you are having deficit in this, okay, I will give you. The state is just playing the role of fatherly role. Yeah, so that's it. Now the then administration has already given us backup and said, this is the way we are going to pay our salary. And now the new government is saying, no, we need the new government to show us more proof to debunk what the then administration had said.
But I mean, so the new government, even before it came into power, was saying this was a political move. It was meant to put us in trouble, to set booby traps. Or if you said you've been in the system from the volunteering state to the ad hoc for these past years, why did the Moyitola administration not conclude the process of your recruitment before the election? Why leave it after the election? Was it that it employed, or many of you were party members of the APC? Was that what actually happened?
Number one, we are not trying to defend any administration here. What is paramount to us is very simple. Now, even we that were even regularized, we even had our own issues with the then administration because they ought to have done it before, far back. Not even this 2018 or 2020. They ought to have done it because they've been promising us right from the time we started our voluntary services. So we even have our own issues with the then administration that even engage us because they ought to have done it far earlier than the time they did it. Now, just as I've said earlier, we are not here to defend any administration. Both the outgone administration and the new administration they know how to iron things out. They should do it. And the issue of maybe they've been warning us. I keep on asking them, how can you say you are warning an hungry beggar not to collect food from somebody that is willing to give without you giving us a better alternative or giving us a better and genuine reason why we should not take the food? We are hungry workers. We are hungry workers. I just said some of us, we've been doing this voluntary service as far back as 2005. Somebody graduated from school. That I was in the secondary school then, 2005. So I think that should be like over 10 years ago. Now somebody now said, okay, I want to employ you. Is it our own right to say, okay, do you have the money to pay me? The only thing we ask, do you have the money to pay me? And you said, yes, you have money to pay us. It's now left for the opposition to prove that the government then was only deceiving us. But today, we've not gotten any proof from the government. We've not. So, and if the new government continues saying we are members of the APC, I'm saying it here. I'm not even a card-carrying member of any party. I can mention out of these 515, I can start mentioning names of even PDP card-carrying PDP members that are even in this list. I can, if they should permit me. So I know that before now they would have done their own assignment at the back room. They would have vet all these names on this list and see even that they have their own members on the list. They have their own members on this list. So I myself, I'm not a card carrier of any party. I swear.
And you believe that your employment, is in the right direction for the state?
Wow.
You said the state has, limited manpower in the areas where you are brought in for.
Grossly. I think the last time I spoke with Malam Molawali, because I give him kudos. I sent him a text and he replied me. I never expected it from him at all because I know that some of these government officials are always busy. I sent him text and I said, sir, we the healthcare, we the Joshua irregularized, blah blah blah. We are trying to do this thing. We are trying to appeal to you. Then he sent me a text. He said they warn us, and I like, sir, the issue of warning. I explained everything to him. We are hungry people. We are only saying we needed this thing, and then administration said, okay, he's capable. The government is capable. So you should stop saying you want us.
All right. Well, so I guess we leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I was going to ask what will be your disposition if the government pulls through with this and says that it's not going to retain you guys? Would you stop providing your services?
If the government should formally communicate to us that our services are now terminated. Number one, we don't have any power over the government. We've been appealing, that's what we've been doing from day one. We go back to our voluntary service. We go back to our voluntary service, but one thing is we will request for the payment of what we've done. Because before they came in, we've already worked for September, we've worked for October, and we've worked for November.
All right.
What about December and January? You've not been working?
We've been working elsewhere. We've been working elsewhere.
Okay. So, I mean, we'll try and get government also and get their reaction. The last time we took Dr. Oladimiji said the committee was about concluding its report, and so we hope that report is done with now. But we'll keep tabs on this matter to get a final solution to these issues. Not only the health workers, we also have the teachers and other categories of workers.
And
so that's
the media workers
interview this
too.
morning. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much.
Mr. Adebayo Adebari is a pharmacist. He's a representative of the health workers employed by the last administration. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. Femi Olanipekun is my name. I'll be stepping aside here now to conclude Morning Spring, where Emmanuel will return with Spring Trends.
Yes, and just to tell you, like they say in Yoruba, 10 is happening in this country.
10.
See you on Spring Trends.
Okay, so Emmanuel will show us what is 10. I hope it's not crossing to 11.
No, it's
Bye-bye.
not.
See you tomorrow.